The friends breathed a sigh of relief as they entered the spacious cottage they had rented through Airbnb. Beams of radiant sunlight pierced through the dense tree branches, illuminating the room with a warm glow. Chase, the group's adventurous leader, couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. The weekend getaway promised tranquility, a much-needed escape from their hectic lives. As night fell, the atmosphere in the cottage changed. The once cheerful ambience turned eerie under the shroud of darkness. Shadows danced on the walls, and the rustle of leaves outside seemed to echo through the empty rooms. Unsettled, the friends gathered in the living room, trying to shake off their unease with nervous laughter. Chase, always curious, decided to explore the cottage further. As he wandered down the dimly lit hallway, a sudden chill crept down his spine. The feeling of being watched intensified with every step. He dismissed it as paranoia, blaming his imagination for running wild. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to the friends, a sinister figure lurked in the nearby woods, observing their every move. The maniac's eyes glinted with madness as he watched the group, his obsession growing with each passing moment. Chase shook off his unease and rejoined his friends in the living room, hoping to distract himself with their company. However, the sense of being watched persisted, gnawing at the edges of his consciousness. His friends, oblivious to his growing unease, engaged in conversation and laughter, trying to dispel the lingering tension. Late into the night, as the group settled in their respective rooms, Chase found himself unable to shake off the feeling of dread. He decided to investigate, convinced he was overreacting but unable to ignore his instincts. Quietly, he slipped out of his room and ventured into the moonlit corridor. As he approached the kitchen, he noticed a faint glow emanating from the backyard. Peering through the window, he saw a silhouette standing among the trees. It was too distant to make out any features, but Chase's heart pounded in his chest. He hurried back to his room, waking his friends in hushed urgency. Fear rippled through the group as Chase shared his discovery. Together, they decided to confront the mysterious figure. Armed with flashlights, they ventured outside, their footsteps muffled by the night. The woods seemed to come alive with sinister whispers as they approached the spot where Chase had seen the figure. Suddenly, a chilling voice echoed through the darkness. "I've been waiting for you," it hissed, sending shivers down their spines. Panic set in, and the friends turned to flee back to the safety of the cottage. But the figure, now revealed in the dim light, stood in their path, a twisted grin on his face. It was the maniac, his eyes filled with madness and obsession. Desperation fueled their escape as they scrambled away, the maniac hot on their heels. The night air was thick with fear as they raced back to the cottage, their hearts pounding in their chests. The maniac's laughter echoed behind them, a haunting reminder of the darkness that had descended upon their idyllic getaway. Inside the cottage, the friends barricaded the doors and windows, their breaths shallow with fear. Chase, his determination overcoming his fear, took charge. "We need to defend ourselves," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. They searched the cottage for anything that could be used as a weapon, finding kitchen knives and makeshift clubs. Their hands shook as they prepared for a possible confrontation. Time seemed to stretch endlessly, each creak of the old cottage magnified into a potential threat. The maniac, undeterred by their barricades, continued his assault. He taunted them from outside, his voice a sinister melody that sent shivers down their spines. "You can't hide from me. I know every inch of this place," he sneered, his words slicing through the tension-filled air. With their nerves stretched to the breaking point, the friends devised a plan. They would make a run for their cars parked at the edge of the property. If they could reach the vehicles, they could escape this nightmare. Gathering their courage, they waited for a moment of eerie silence and dashed towards the door. Their hearts pounded in their chests as they sprinted through the darkness, their footsteps thundering in their ears. The maniac's laughter followed them, a cacophony of madness that seemed to echo through the night. They reached the cars, their hands trembling as they fumbled for the keys. Just as they thought they were safe, The maniac emerged from the shadows, his eyes ablaze with madness. He lunged at them, a blur of violence and desperation. In the chaos that ensued, they fought back with all their strength, their survival instincts kicking in. Finally, with a surge of collective strength, they managed to overpower the maniac. Breathless and battered, they subdued him until the authorities arrived, their arrival heralding the end of the nightmare. In the aftermath, as the dawn broke, and the police took the maniac away, the friends clung to each other, their bond forged in the crucible of terror. The Airbnb rental, once a promise of relaxation, now stood as a reminder of the darkness that could lurk in the most unexpected places. When Kate and her husband, Mike, stumbled upon a house on Airbnb that seemed too good to be true, their curiosity got the better of them. The house was grand and magnificent, and surprisingly, the rental price was several times lower than usual. It's like a gift from fate, Kate thought, and they decided to book it for the weekend. As soon as they arrived, the house seemed even more mysterious. Antique architecture, dark wooden floors, and eerie curtains created an atmosphere of mystery. Everything was perfect, but something felt off. On the first night, Kate heard strange noises, whispers, and creaks. She tried to convince herself that these were just sounds of an old house, but something inside her was uneasy. In the morning, while exploring the house, she found a door to the basement, which was locked. Her curiosity was overcome by fear, and she decided to leave this mystery unsolved. On the second night, the strange events became more intense. Kate woke up to loud sounds and went to investigate. She found that the door to the basement was open. Her heart raced with fear, but curiosity got the better of her. She ventured downstairs and discovered a room filled with antique items and old photographs. But the most astonishing thing was that the photos seemed familiar. They were portraits of their family, but with some strange alterations. Some faces were distorted, as if someone had tried to cut them out of the frame. Kate began to delve into the origins of this house and learned that a family lived here, which disappeared many years ago. They were known for their peculiar rituals and claimed that the house was cursed. Kate realized that their family had become a part of this curse. Now, trapped in this mysterious house, Kate and Mike understood that they had to unravel the secrets of the past to free themselves and their family. They decided to delve into the history of this place and find a way to break the curse that held them captive. As Kate and Mike delved deeper into the history of the house, they discovered chilling secrets hidden within its walls. The family that lived there before them was deeply involved in occult practices, trying to harness supernatural forces. The basement, once a chamber of rituals, was now a repository of their dark experiments. One evening, as they explored further, they found an old diary belonging to the previous owner. The entries described bizarre rituals conducted in the house, attempting to communicate with the spirits of the past. It was evident that these rituals had unleashed something malevolent, binding the house and its inhabitants in a web of darkness. Driven by desperation, Kate and Mike decided to perform a ritual described in the diary, hoping it might provide a clue to break the curse. The ritual was complex, involving ancient symbols and chants. As they completed the ritual, the house seemed to come alive with energy. Shadows danced on the walls, and a bone-chilling wind swept through the rooms. Suddenly, the room was filled with the apparitions of the family that had lived in the house before them. Their faces contorted with agony, they pleaded for release. Among them was a little girl, her eyes filled with sadness. Through whispered voices, they revealed that the curse had bound their souls to the house, and only by confronting the malevolence that had been unleashed could they find peace. With newfound determination, Kate and Mike delved into the heart of the curse, tracing its origin to a cursed artifact hidden within the house. It was an ancient amulet, radiating dark energy. Realizing that destroying the amulet might be their only chance, they embarked on a perilous journey within the house, guided by the spirits that sought freedom. In a climactic battle against the malevolence, Kate and Mike managed to locate the amulet. With trembling hands, they shattered it, unleashing a blinding light that engulfed the house. The malevolent presence shrieked and wailed, its hold on the house crumbling away. As the light faded, the house fell silent. The spirits of the family that had lived there before smiled at Kate and Mike, gratitude and relief in their eyes. The curse was finally broken. With the curse lifted, the house no longer felt eerie or foreboding. It was as if a weight had been lifted, and the air was filled with a newfound tranquility. Kate and Mike, exhausted but victorious, knew they had not only saved themselves, but also helped the tormented souls find peace. In the following days, the town learned about the dark history of the house, and it became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the consequences of meddling with the unknown. Kate and Mike, forever changed by their harrowing experience, moved on with a newfound appreciation for the fragility of life and the importance of confronting one's deepest fears. And so, the once enigmatic house, now free from its malevolent past, stood tall and proud, its secrets buried with the spirits that had finally found rest. John had always been an adventurous soul, seeking new experiences in life. When he planned a weekend getaway, he decided to book a cozy house on Airbnb. The pictures showcased a charming cottage nestled in the woods, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Little did he know, his decision to stay there would lead him to a series of chilling events. As he arrived at the house, the sun was setting, casting eerie shadows across the tall trees that surrounded the property. The house, although quaint, had an unsettling aura. Ignoring his gut feeling, John unpacked his bags and settled in for the night. The first night passed without incident. However, on the second night, strange things began to happen. John was awakened by creaking sounds coming from the basement. He dismissed it as a result of the old house settling, but curiosity got the better of him. Armed with a flashlight, he made his way down to the basement to investigate. In the dim light, he saw a flickering candle and a tattered old book. The book seemed to be some sort of journal, filled with cryptic symbols and drawings. As he started reading, he realized it was a chronicle of a dark ritual performed in the very house he was staying in. The words described summoning spirits from another realm, and a warning that once awakened, they could never be put back to rest. Unsettled, John decided to leave the basement, but the door slammed shut, trapping him inside. Desperation clawed at him as he tried to force the door open. Suddenly, the room grew icy cold, and he felt an invisible presence in the room with him. John's heart raced as he felt an otherworldly force surround him. The temperature dropped further, and he could see his breath in the air. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls, revealing strange symbols etched into the stone. A whisper, barely audible, echoed through the basement. "You've awakened us," it hissed, sending shivers down John's spine. He felt a cold touch on his shoulder, and he turned around to find himself face to face with a ghostly figure. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and its voice resonated in John's mind, filling him with dread. "You released us from our prison," the figure said, its voice carrying centuries of anguish. "Now we hunger for the souls of the living." John's mind raced, trying to comprehend the situation. He realized he was dealing with something beyond his understanding, something far more sinister than he had ever imagined. He mustered the courage to speak, his voice trembling. "What do you want from me?" "We need a vessel," the ghostly figure replied, its voice hollow and cold. "We need a living being to sustain us in this realm. You will be our conduit, our link to the world of the living." Fear consumed John as he realized the gravity of the situation. It was to be a vessel for these malevolent spirits, trapped in his own body while they roamed the world, wreaking havoc. He needed to find a way out, a way to banish these spirits back to where they came from. Desperation fueled his determination. He began searching the basement for any clues, any sign of how to reverse the dark ritual described in the journal. Every moment was a battle against the encroaching malevolence that threatened to consume him. As he delved deeper into the journal's pages, he found a passage that hinted at a possible solution. A ritual, complex and dangerous, but the only chance he had to save himself and prevent these spirits from causing harm to others. Time seemed to blur as John meticulously followed the instructions from the ancient journal. Every symbol, every incantation had to be perfect. The spirits, sensing his desperation, tried to interfere, whispering doubts and fears into his mind. But John persevered, his determination burning brighter than ever. With the ritual circle drawn, candles flickering, and the air thick with anticipation, John began chanting the incantation. The very ground seemed to tremble as he recited the words, his voice gaining strength with each syllable. The spirits, trapped in the circle's boundaries, shrieked and wailed, their ethereal forms contorting in pain. As the ritual reached its climax, a blinding light enveloped the room, forcing John to shield his eyes. The spirits' cries grew deafening, and for a moment, he feared he might be consumed by their wrath. But then the light intensified, and with a final, desperate chant, John completed the ritual. In an instant, the spirits were gone, banished from the mortal realm. The basement fell silent, the oppressive atmosphere lifting like a heavy fog. John, exhausted and emotionally drained, collapsed to the floor, gasping for breath. He had done it. He had survived the encounter with the malevolent spirits. Days passed, and John found himself haunted by the events in the house. Nightmares plagued his sleep, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something was still lurking in the shadows. Determined to find closure, he decided to investigate the house's history, hoping to uncover the origins of the dark ritual that had bound those spirits to the basement. Through meticulous research, he discovered a chilling tale of an occultist who had lived in the house centuries ago. This man, driven by a thirst for power, had performed unspeakable rituals, sacrificing innocent lives to gain control over malevolent spirits. The house had become a beacon for dark energies, a cursed place that attracted those seeking power and forbidden knowledge. Armed with this newfound information, John embarked on a mission to cleanse the house of its malevolent past. He performed cleansing rituals, sprinkling salt and herbs, and reciting ancient prayers to purify the space. With each ritual, he could feel the house's energy shift, becoming lighter, as if a burden had been lifted. Finally, one night, as he completed the last cleansing ritual, he heard a soft whisper on the wind, carried away by a gentle breeze. It was a voice, faint but filled with gratitude. The spirits, once trapped and tormented, had found peace. John knew he had accomplished what he set out to do. The house was free from the grip of darkness, and he had played a part in breaking the cycle of malevolence that had plagued it for centuries.